glee-filled today, aren't we? We really are quite gleeful. We spent a lot of time together on this one. So I will now get back to my talking points. So today, we are here to mark a milestone. All former students will soon receive notice that Corinthian College federal loans will be canceled, and this will benefit more than 500,000 people who still have loans, and it will add up to almost $6 billion in debt relief for former students. And of course, we all know that's real money.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen say, in effect, that she got it wrong in terms of how serious and how quickly inflation would become a problem. You spoke to my colleague Poppy last year, and I just want to play what you said at the time and get your reaction. Have a listen.
The risk of overheating in terms of price pressures is considerably smaller than the risks of doing too little to finally put this crisis behind us.
Listen, no one has a crystal ball, but do you look back now and say, you know what? We juiced the economy too much, and we underestimated the risk of overheating the economy and overheating prices?
You know, look, it's easy to look back on what you said a year ago and, you know, find flaws, and I could probably do that. I actually thought what I said is something I would continue to stick with. And here,
how bad are gas prices from a historical and political point of view?
This table tells the story. So this is the yearly change in the average gasoline prices at this point in the midterm cycle. Right now, we're at the top, up 53%. From last year. That is the highest in any midterm cycle since 1994. And as a student of political history, I can't help but notice that the next highest ones, 2006 and 2010, saw major gains for the opposition party, in 2006 being the Democrats and 2010 being the Republicans. And when I see gas prices like you saw on that last slide, I can't help but think I want to do a lot more walking and not pay the price at the pump. And you might be asking yourself, okay, how is this impacting President Joe Biden? Look at his job performance on gas prices. You don't have to be a mathematical expert to know that 31% is a very, very bad number. The vast majority, more than 2/3 of Americans, disapprove of Joe Biden's job on gas prices, Jake.
So another huge issue is inflation in general as we head into the midterms. How is that impacting President Biden?
I hate to say it if I were the president, but look at this. Basically the exact same approval rating. Joe Biden's job performance on inflation. Look at that. Just 28%. Disapproval rating. 2/3 of Americans disapprove of Joe Biden's job performance on inflation. And, you know, that is a very, 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 very bad number when what is the most urgent issue facing Americans? Look at that. Inflation. 33%, the clear runaway there. And you might have remembered immigration was something that Republicans were going to want to hit on in this midterm election, but just 7% say that. They're much wiser refocusing on inflation. And if you watch Republican messaging, they're exactly doing that, Jake.
Tell us more about what's happened in past elections when voters had this dismal a view of the economy.
Just take a look at the overall economy. How are economic conditions doing? The current economy, only fair or poor. 85% of Americans say the current economy, they view it as only fair or poor. That is the worst since 2011. The economic outlook getting worse. 77%. That's the worst since 2009. These are historic numbers. And you know what, Jake? If we look back at White House losses, when 75% of folks think the economy is just fair or poor at this point in the midterm cycle, the White House lost 13, 63 seats, 54 seats in the House of Representatives. These are just very, very bad numbers overall. People don't like the way the economy is going. They don't like inflation. They don't like gas prices. And it's likely to hurt Democrats in this midterm.
There are big questions about whether or not, if they had understood just how big of a problem this was going to be, why they didn't start talking about it last fall and start coming up with a plan B and a plan C. So these desperate parents who are struggling to get formula for their children, who need specialized formulas, aren't in the position that they're in now, driving hours to go and get it, searching at these stores. And so that's a big question, just not about the larger whole of government approach that the White House says they've been taking, but why the president himself didn't learn of this problem sooner.
Yeah, I don't know if there's much more that could undermine faith in government than its inability to deal with people being able to feed their children in a way that the government clearly should have seen coming. They should have seen this coming, Caitlin.
We see what this administration has done, this whole of government approach.
You're doing this now on June 1. If he knew about this in
we have been doing this a whole of government approach since the recall. That is what, and it's not, but it's
until last month.
because we had to make sure. We had to make sure and really look into what would work and what was the best direction to move forward. That's what we have talked about. We have talked to you all every day that.
It's a hurricane. Right now, it's kind of sunny. Things are doing fine. Everyone thinks the Fed can handle this. That hurricane is right out there down the road coming our way. We just don't know if it's a minor one or Superstorm Sandy or Sandy or Andrew or something like that. And it's you better brace yourself.
I guess I still just don't fully understand why you didn't tell the president until April. If the problem was reported to the FDA last fall, the FDA didn't check it out until I think December, and then they shut down the factory in February. The president, the only one who can invoke the Defense Production Act to force companies to produce this incredibly direly needed infant formula, he's not told until April. Karine Jean-Pierre, your press secretary, just said this has been a whole of government approach. That doesn't include the president?
The FDA took the appropriate measures to shut down the facility in February.
Is there one specific category where you think that's where you can really make a difference?
I wish, if there were, that's what we would do.
How long do you expect before Americans will see some relief in prices?
So it's true. This is the biggest issue that we face now. The economy is so strong. The labor market is good. Companies are growing. But inflation is a reality and people are struggling with it. No one has a crystal ball.
Did it contribute to the inflation, though?
The inflation that we're observing right now is very much a function of high levels of demand and constrained supply. And sure, fiscal policy is always going to contribute to the demand side of the equation. But I am not here to at all look at this in any sort of one-sided way. When you're talking about the rescue plan, it's essential to balance some of the heat that fiscal policy helped to create along with that list of benefits.
Okay, so the whistleblower complained in the fall. The FDA waited till December to act. Waited until February to shut the plant down. President Biden wasn't told about it until April. You don't think any of that should have been done more quickly or sooner? You think everything just went exactly how it's supposed to?
Look, the FDA commissioner has already said that he will conduct a thorough investigation. Those extraordinary measures required the president's direct intervention, and that's what the president has directed, and that's what the president has done.
I don't need the FDA to investigate itself to come to the judgment that they did not act quickly enough. And on behalf of all the frustrated moms and dads and guardians out there, I hope you don't either.
At the end of the day, for an American living his or her life, it is grocery, it is gas. And if you don't see baby formula on the shelf, you want to know why and who's responsible for it.
Yeah, and this is not the first time the administration has been slow to supply chain issues. They downplayed this crisis last summer and fall when it was first coming. They said that it was communicated to some in the White House. President Biden said that yesterday, but it didn't reach his desk, which is not great for a president who's at this point risks looking out of the loop. Or at the very least, the administration was very slow to respond because it was soon thereafter that consumers started noticing that there was less formula on the shelf. And then, of course, a huge shortage now. And as much as the problem, Mike, with going back and saying, well, what went wrong, it's also more importantly to parents about fixing it now. And the administration is saying, yes, they had another shipment come in from overseas. That helps. That's a drop in the bucket. It's still going to be weeks, if not a month or more, before they're back to full capacity.
According to our the Department of Energy has an Energy Information Administration, which is an objective entity that does analysis projecting the prices of gasoline. They say that things might stabilize by the end of this year, but that the price of gas is likely to remain above $4 a gallon. We're going to do this. We're going to get to this clean energy economy. One hydroelectric project, one solar panel, one wind turbine, one geothermal project, one advanced nuclear reactor, one electric vehicle, one battery at a time. And that is all part of the silver buckshot to get to that 100% clean future. Ultimately, this price hike that we are seeing globally will likely remain high. And so we want to make sure that at the same time as we are calling upon an increase in supply, that we are also accelerating our future to clean energy solutions.
What you're saying is that even if the president had known sooner, before April, that your response would have been exactly the same.
I'm not saying when the president knew or didn't know. He spoke, I know he spoke to that himself, so I'm going to let that stand. I am saying that we have been working on this. We, as a whole of government approach, have been working on this since the recall, which was in February. And we've also laid out a timeline for you all so that you know what the steps that we have done.
It sounds like you're saying, though, even if the president had known sooner, would that have made a difference?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we have been working on this since we found out about the recall since day one as a timeline. That is what it's important here to know, that as a whole of government approach, we have taken this on since the first day that we learned about the recall.